So used properly, your legal token can protect you from harm. I've heard stories of guys that go in with their birth certificate to present it to the court for some charge that is before the court. Okay, sure, that's great. It might help. You can do that if you want. Or you can go to that court as a man and press a claim as a man for unlawful confinement or barratry before the court. But used wrongly, used incorrectly, that legal token will enslave you. You have to know how to use this token. I mean, they give you this tool. Did they ever give you instructions on how to use it? Did you ever get a pamphlet? You get a pamphlet for the microwave, you get a pamphlet for the television, for the toaster, for tires, for everything else. You get a pamphlet for every game you buy or every cookie you buy. There is always a pamphlet, some kind of instructions. So why didn't you get a pamphlet for your birth certificate? Has anybody ever asked that question? I know why. It is because they just wanted you to assume. It is because they know they have no right to tell a man or woman what to do. They have no right to tell you to use it as a form of identification. In fact, it used to say on the back of the birth certificate, "This document is not for the use of identification." You can go online and look at photos of them from around the world. Some say that this certificate is not evidence of identity. So, it is not supposed to be used as identification. It is supposed to be used to be able to play the game. So, we have to understand that legal and law are not the same thing. Another thing to know is the difference between mankind and humanity. Most people will run around and say, "I am a human being." Not me. I will never let that word come out of my mouth ever again to describe myself. I am not a human. Why? Well, let's break it down. Human. Hue, a color, a shade. A color of man, a shade of man. Mankind, a creation of God. So, we have got something created by God, that's mankind, and then mankind created this thing called a hue man, a shade of man. You see? So, do you still want to be a human still? I don't think so. You want to be a man or a woman. A human? Well, now, you get human rights. Oh, well, isn't that a nice benefit? You know what? Here, how about I call it dog rights and give your dog some rights too? You see what I am saying? It is something that can be given and taken away. Either you have rights or you don't have rights. How do you have rights? You have got to be able to stand on those rights. You've got to be able to present those rights. You've got to be able to give notice of those rights. You've got to understand who you are. This is why they can tax you for property. Now, property. The word property in reality is the highest right a man or woman has. In fact, government was originally set up to protect property. That was the whole reason government was set up originally, was to protect man and woman's property. And then, man and woman decided to start turning into citizens, and Americans, and Europeans, and Edmontonians, and whatever place you are from. Again, you are not a Canadian. You are not a Mexican citizen. You are a man or woman that happens to live on those lands. Now, this stuff is not to be confused with freeman on the land stuff, or sovereign citizen stuff, or secure party creditor stuff, or state national stuff. That stuff is all hogwash. That stuff is like playing a game of chess. And as a chess piece, let's say the pawn, that is your legal person. By trying to get the rights of a freeman or a sovereign, one is trying to upgrade to a rook or a bishop. Man and woman, they are the ones sitting at the table playing the game of chess, moving the chess pieces around. Man and woman is not the pawn, or the bishop, or the rook. Yes, you've got these freeman guys or sovereign guys, and they go around saying, "Oh, well, you've got to go authenticate your birth certificate or get your live birth record, and then you've got to present it to the state level and the county level and the federal level, and then send it to the Pope and to the Queen, and then you will have your rights." You know, this is the nonsense that they are doing, instead of just coming forward as a man or a woman and understanding their rights, and that all they have to do to uphold their rights is to press one's notice. If you want to violate my rights, I am going to let you know that you are in violation of my rights, and it's going to be an accident, and then a wrong, and then a trespass, and then I'm going to press that claim before we the people. And I'm going to explain the difference between law and legal at that court. Now, property, the highest right a man or woman can have, and the foundation of every right that a man or woman has, everything is about property. If I say, that's my cat, great, that's a cat, that's a legal fiction. However, if I say, that's my property, in this instance a cat, now I've just made that the highest right I have. If I say that I am a male, I just made myself a legal fiction, 7 levels below the creation of God. If I say that I am a man, huzzah, now I am operating at my highest rights. So, these words like rights and property, we are going to use these words a lot. You are really going to learn how to understand them. Do you know anyone that owns a house or owns some land? Have you ever looked at their property tax? It doesn't actually say property tax. It says real property tax. Because they cannot charge you property tax. It is your property. That would be silly. So they charge you real property tax. And what does the word real do to the word property? It's an adjective. It diminishes that word. So, by adding the word real, they have actually made the property fake. Sneaky, eh? For example, if I say that I have the rights of man, that's one thing. But if I say I have man rights, I have just diminished the word rights by using an adjective. I might as well say I have cat's rights, or dog's rights, or citizen's rights. Okay, so I don't have man's rights. I have the rights of man, or woman. That is what we have as mankind and womankind. So, real property is not property at all. By adding the word real, we have now turned it into a title, and it is now under legal terminology. Let me give you another example. If I say something like, I am God, that's a pretty powerful statement, okay? Wow, not much to define there. However, if I say, I am the God of people wearing polka dot pants on Lemming Street in Philadelphia, did all those adjectives add to my power or take away from my power? They took away from my power. They took away from the power of that sentence. Every one of those words defined me, lessened me. Am I a man? Yes. Am I a crazy man? No. Am I a free man? No. Am I a human? No. Am I a patriotic man? No. Am I a libertarian man? No. Am I a Muslim man? No. I am simply a man that may follow the Muslim religion, that may be patriotic. Are you a farmer? No. I am simply a man that plants seeds. We do it to ourselves all day long, not realizing. Okay? It's all about titles. When you take a title, it limits you. We are always taught things like, oh, my son is going to be a doctor. Well, you know what? If I know a cure for cancer, as a man, I can give it to you freely. But if I am a doctor, I would be bound by the duties and obligations to the legal society through the medical society, and I would not be able to share the cure for cancer with you because it does not exist within that society. But as a man or a woman, I can give it to you freely. Okay? So this is why we have to understand things like true and truth. The word truth does not mean true. True is something that is based on facts and evidence that you can support the claim to show that it is true. Look, I have a cat. You want to see pictures of it? Here, I can bring it to you. Look, you want to smell him? It's a cat, right? Here's my evidence that I have a cat. Now, in the other sense, someone can say, well, it is the truth that God exists. Well, I don't have evidence that God exists, but it is my belief. It is my opinion, you know. It might be, it might not be, but that is my belief. It is my opinion. Okay, so now with this new understanding of the words true and truth, let's go back to the court. Let's see what a judge says to you right away. He says to you, do you swear? That's the first thing he says to you. And then he says, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Why doesn't he say, are you going to tell what is true? Or, do you give your oath to what is true? Why does he use the words swear and truth instead of oath, and true. Do you ever wonder that? Of course not. This is intentional deception that we are not supposed to think about. Well, let's think about it. What does the word swear mean? Well, it doesn't mean screw you or piss off. Swear means to give allegiance. I swear my allegiance to the knights and to serve my queen forever until my dying breath. This is what it means to swear. And truth. What does truth mean? Remember? Truth is merely one's opinion of what is true. It might be true, but it lacks the proof to support the claim that it is true, so it is merely truth. Now, let's see how a judge would see that, instead of a magistrate. A judge, being a judge, in his capacity as a judge, is meant to judge something. I like the green shirt more than the red shirt. I like that cat better than that dog. I like that parent better than that parent. He is there to judge, and we are giving him authority to judge. Now, he says, do you swear? Well, what are we swearing to? We are swearing allegiance to the legal society. And then he says, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Translation, do you swear only to give me your opinion of what you might think is true, thus giving me the right and jurisdiction in order to give an opinion of what I decide to put before this court? Because if you were to put something true before this court, I would have no opinion or ruling to give. I would have to put forth your order for the proof and claim before the court. These are two completely different types of court. We are talking baseball versus basketball here. Law and legal are completely different. Most people don't have a clue what a magistrate is and how it differs from a judge. 9 times out of 10, you will encounter a magistrate, and we will go in there and talk legal and say things like, I am presenting myself, or I am representing myself, or I wish to motion the court, or I have an affidavit, or something like that, and then the magistrate goes, oh, this guy is illegal. I will turn him to a judge now, say goodbye to the magistrate, and all of a sudden, it is a legal court. And even if you know what a magistrate is, you would be wondering, how come I have a judge? Where did this judge come from? What happened to the magistrate? Well, you didn't uphold the law, so the magistrate took off. He magically transformed into a judge right before your eyes. These judges, they all know this. All these courts, they all know the difference between law and legal. What is the court allowed to do? They are allowed to practice law. Practice law. Practice. An attorney is allowed to practice law. Their business is a law practice. Hey, you want to let me practice surgery on you? I just went on eBay and bought a scalpel. Come on, want to let me practice surgery on you? Would you let me do it? Of course not. But again, this is another word we don't even see there, do we? They are practicing law. They have nothing to do with law. They are only practicing. I don't want you to practice surgery on me. I want a man or woman that has gone to school and has the understanding of all the medical procedures and consequences and terminology and protocols. So, if you were going to do law, understand law. If you were going to do legal, understand legal. But don't try to mix the two. Just because they appear similar and share a same building, do not try to mix the two. So, law, that which a man or woman is bound to follow, that which a man or woman may establish by way of notice. Wait a minute. Are you saying that I can set my own law? Is that what you were telling me, Gary? Yes, that is what I'm telling you.